Hello there. This is Heirs to the Kingdom channel, and today's lesson we're doing chapter 13 in the book of Leviticus. If you're new to this, it's a Bible study channel going through the King James Bible, not skipping anything as scriptures command. So if you would like, subscribe, and share this content, we'll go ahead and get started. Last we left off, we had the dietary laws. Then the rules for the woman about how much being unclean and having to stay away from the rest of the people, being isolated for how long between male and female, and even having to make, sin offerings, sacrifices and stuff after the birth of children. And so that's where we have left off at. Going into 13, we're going to be starting to talk about the rules of leprosy. It's still a thing around the world. Leprosy still exists. We have medicine for it now, but it is still a thing out there. So if you ever think about going to some third world country where they don't have too much medicine or industries or this, that, and the other, be wary. The old plagues still exist. So let's go and get started here. Chapter 13, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, When a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priests. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that hath the plague 7 days. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day. And behold, if the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin after that he hath been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest. And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin of the flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. He ends up pretty much with the mark, and everybody avoids him. He has to stay away from everybody. There ain't no sense in shutting him up, because he has the leprosy. And leprosy, it's pretty much like being bit by a brown recluse. Your muscle, your meat rots from the inside out. So it's a flesh-eating bacteria. So, continue on here, verse 12. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that hath the plague, from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, Then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white, he is clean. But when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. And the priest shall see the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean, for the raw flesh is unclean, it is a leprosy. So it's like when the skin's all completely damaged and everything else, but it's the same thing with certain other things, like cold sores. If the blister's open and then someone else gets touched by that, this, that, and the other, that's how you can spread cold sores. Same thing with the raw flesh showing. That's how you're unclean. It's because now you can give the disease to other people because it's raw, it's open, and it's out there. Let's continue on now. 16. Or if the raw flesh turn again and be changed into white, he shall come unto the priest. And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, that hath the plague, he is clean. The flesh also, in which even in the flesh thereof was a boil, he is healed. And if the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest, and if when the priest seeth it, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hairs therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And if it spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is a plague. But if the bright spot stay in his place, and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. Or if there be any flesh in the skin whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burneth have a white spot, a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair and the bright spot be turned white, and it be in sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy broken out of the burning. Wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is the plague of leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot, and it be no lower than the other skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall look upon him the 7th day, and if it be spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is the plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in his place, and spread not in the skin, but be somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning. If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, so of course that means, on the head, it's under the hair. It's very hard to see or even feel. Because, when you have something on your head or on your face and you don't have mirrors, you can't really look upon yourself and examine anything. Let's continue on here. 30. Then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scall, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut up him that hath the plague of the skull 7 days. Yeah, so it's like, there's different levels of leprosy. I'm just like, like I said, before, I'm so glad that we are in certain times today with the medicines we have, and we're not under all these Israelite laws that separates them from the rest of the world on how they live. It ain't that I like living as the rest of the world is, it's just it's way too much to remember. You know, way too many plagues and problems. Like I said last lesson, it's like life's hard enough as it is. It's like, I hate that so many more things could be added to it. But like the saying goes, it can always be worse with whatever you're dealing with. Let's continue on here, 32. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the skull be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the skull shall he not shave. And the priest shall shut up him that hath the skull 7 days more. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the skull, and behold, if the skull be not spread in the skin, nor be in sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the skull spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the skull be spread in the skin, the priest shall not seek for yellow hair, he is unclean. But if the skull be in his sight at a stay, and that there is black hair grown up therein, the skull is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. If a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckled spot that groweth in the skin, he is clean. And if the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet is he clean. And he that hath his hair fallen off from the part of his head toward his face, he is forehead bald, yet is he clean. And if there be in the bald head or bald forehead a white reddish sore, it is a leprosy sprung up in the bald head or his bald forehead. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sore be white reddish in his bald head, or in his bald forehead, as the leprosy appeareth in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man. He is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean. His plague is in his head. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. So this is stuff they had to do to show the world when people came up to him. You're supposed to say this stuff so people knew to avoid. Verse 46, all the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone. Without the camp shall his habitation be. And the garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a linen garment, whether it be in the warp or woof of linen or of woolen, whether in a skin or in anything made of skin. Yeah, the sad thing is that's where a lot of the bacteria and stuff would reside in, is what they had to make their clothes out of. So if you got a wound on your skin, that's how the leprosy or bacterial infection can get in and then spread. So it's one of those things, danged if you do, danged if you don't. But also that's one of the things that we do here in the West and stuff is we invented washing machines. We wash our clothes very regularly. We do not wear them, till they fall off and then get more. We've learned throughout the years about how to bathe better. That helps prevent it and other bacterial infections and skin infections. Washing your clothes regularly, stuff like that, and also what you wash your clothes in. Let's continue on here. 49. And if the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment or in the skin, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and shall be showed unto the priest. And the priest shall look upon the plague, and shut up it that hath the plague 7 days. And he shall look on the plague on the 7th day, and if the plague be spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in the skin or in any work that is made of skin, the plague is a fretting leprosy, it is unclean. He shall therefore burn that garment, whether warp or woof, in woolen or in linen or in anything of skin wherein the plague is, for it is a fretting leprosy, it shall be burnt in the fire. And if the priest shall look, and behold, the plague be not spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, then the priest shall command that they wash the thing therein the plague is, and he shall shut it up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on the plague after that it is washed, and behold, if the plague have not changed his color, and the plague be not spread, it is unclean, thou shalt burn it in the fire. It is fret inward, whether it be bare within or without. And if the priest look, and behold, the plague be somewhat dark after the washing of it, then he shall rend it out of the garment, or out of the skin, or out of the warp, or out of the woof. So you keep hearing this word warp and woof. And what that's meaning is the lines in fabric you have up and down, side to side, of how fabric's made. And if it's made out of skins, hides, it's not going to be just one piece. They are going to be put together. So you're looking at the seams and, of the area. You're just looking up and down side, up and down side to side still. Maybe they might have cut the hides into strings and then woven them still and made garments that way out of hides. Don't really know how they done all things, but most people wore something like a robe as it was. Anyways, 57. And if it appears still in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin. Okay, so yeah, warp or woof of the garment, but then any part of the skin. So it is separating that. It is a spreading plague. Thou shalt burn that wherein the plague is with fire. And the garment, either warp or woof, or whatsoever thing of skin it be, which thou shalt wash, if the plague be departed from then it shall be washed the second time, and shall be clean. This is the law of the plague of leprosy in a garment of woolen or linen, either in the warp or the woof, or anything of skins, to pronounce it clean, or to pronounce it unclean. And that's the end of this lesson. Yeah, so we're already right here, almost at 20 minutes. That's why I did 13 by itself. I knew it was going to take a little bit to read it all. And if the next verse had been short, I would have just added it, but it's long as well. Chapter 14. So 14 and 15 will be together. I done looked at that. But yeah, there's 57 verses in 14. I think there's 30-something verses in 15, so we just have to play it by ear. Even speaking more about leprosy in 14. But the reason for these things is to keep the people safe. If you do not separate the sick from the healthy, the sick can spread throughout all the healthy, and you can lose an entire city that way. There's reasons for these things. Even today we do that. If you're sick or this, that, and the other, you separate yourself from the rest of the people. You don't want to cough or sneeze around them or this, that, and the other. You normally stay in a room by itself. They got that Vicks stuff you put in humidifiers. Helps purify the air. Depending upon how sick you are and what the sickness is. But I said we still do somewhat stuff like this today. And yeah, we have isolation areas in hospitals in case something like this does show up. Anyways. So glad we have medicine for this stuff today. Like I said, there's some parts of the world they still deal with this and they don't have medicine for it. They refuse to upgrade from their village cultures and start going to more, we call it civilized societies, but it just mostly means, more advanced societies and building materials, clothing, technology, medicine, all this other stuff. Yeah. It's all to help us live longer and, not have so many threats of diseases and stuff. Anyways, these are things to pray about. Like I say, when you pray for the lost and found, yourself and others, but I always say pray for other nations, all people, all situations. These are some of those situations. These are some of those places. I said there's always something to pray about. And don't forget to give God all the praise, glory, and worship and thanks and everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. So I'm going to end this lesson here. Got it done pretty early today. So until next time, God bless, good day, and goodbye.